Well, hey there, everyone. This is Dave Dubeau with another episode of the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. Today, I'm very, very excited to be chatting with Patrick Francey, who is the CEO, also known as the Chief Cook and Bottle Washer of the Real Estate Investment Network, REIN, which is Canada's premier real estate training company. I think you guys have been around the longest. You're definitely the biggest. You're the most nationwide, that's for sure. I've been part of REIN. I've known of REIN since day one of getting involved in real estate investing when I came back to Canada in 2003. Fantastic organization. And Patrick Francey is the CEO. He's also a very, very established and accomplished real estate entrepreneur and entrepreneur in his own right. He's a father, a husband, a grandfather, and an all-around good guy. So welcome to the show there, Patrick.
Oh, thanks, Dave. That's a great introduction, so thanks for that.
So, Patrick, for the three people that might be watching this who have never heard of REIN or some of our American friends, can you tell us a little bit about what is the Real Estate Investment Network?
Well, to short and sweet, as concise as I can keep it, is 27 years we've been teaching real estate investors how to invest in real estate. So through education, understanding the economic fundamentals that drive a real estate market. So there's two parts to what REIN is all about. One is the education, the hows and the strategies, the tactics. And then the deeper part of it is we're actually now we always have been, but even more so than ever, we are the leaders in the economic research and analysis that really plays to real estate investors. So we're always looking into the future, and then we look at all sorts of aspects around economic fundamentals and research. And that's really the game that we play, and we do it world class.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, you guys have a whole team that are focused on looking at the different markets across Canada and giving up-to-date information on what's going on, and then, allowing people a look behind the curtain, as it were, as to what you think is coming down the pipeline. So yeah, it's phenomenal. But your research is phenomenal. Okay, so Patrick, let's talk a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Those folks that don't know you, tell us a little bit about your wild and wonderful journey through real estate investing.
Well, my wild and wonderful journey through real estate investing is, I started back in 2001. So I've been a business owner for 35 years. I own businesses in Alberta, retail businesses, a company called ProSkate, which I've had literally for 35 years. My wife also owns a business. So we're in this world of high performance skating, hockey, figure skating. Okay. My wife's an Olympic coach in the mental performance aspect of working with athletes. But our game started in real estate back in about 2000, technically 1999. But it took me a while to get started because there's false starts and should I and what does it all mean? Long story short, as a business owner, I was having many conversations with other business owners. And, along the line, what I started to notice about some of the people that I looked up to in business, people who were, in some cases, multi-millions in their business. And one thing they all had in common, which was they all invested in real estate, regardless of how well their business was doing. And totally, they could be in a totally different industry than real estate, but they were investing in real estate. So I did catch on to that. And I said, well, why wouldn't I emulate that? So I started looking at real estate. I was born and raised in Edmonton, although I live in the Lower Mainland today and have for about 11 years, Fraser Valley to be specific. But ultimately, I started investing in real estate back in 2001 because of that. When I realized that as a business owner, my future and my future retirement is how I looked at it back then, was not certain given I was just a business owner, and, can I exit my business? How would that happen? So along the way, I decided I was going to learn how to invest in real estate. I came across the Real Estate Investment Network, REIN, and became a member of REIN back in 2001. And that's what I was a member. My journey was I started investing in real estate in Edmonton back in 2001, bought our first piece of real estate back then. And over the years, got to know Don Campbell, and then, long story short, liked the business so much we bought it. So that's kind of that whole story in that regard.
Excellent. So I find that so interesting because I've seen that time and time again as well, Patrick. Is somebody invests their time and their all of this energy and effort into building up their business, and at the end of the day, when they sell it or they divest themselves of it, quite typically the only thing that's really valuable is the property that they own. I mean, we see it time and time and time again. Now, that's not to say that the business wasn't good. I mean, it provided cash flow, allowed them to live and buy the property. But at the end of the day, quite often, more often than not, from what I've seen, it's the actual physical property that they own that's
Hard
worth.
asset. As a business owner yourself, you realize that as much as we have intellectual property and as much as we have maybe systems and processes, and there's some value in that to somebody in a future, perhaps, that they want to buy that business and take it and carry on. I did that with REIN, as a matter of fact. But ultimately, the security or the certainty financially that we want as business owners, as entrepreneurs, or not, having that hard asset called real estate over a long term is a really nice gain, and it's something that we can hang our hats on in the future. Yeah,
most definitely. So, Patrick, as far as your own real estate investing goes, what's kind of your focus, your niche?
Well, it started out, I was very hands-on back in the early days. So we were doing buy and hold. I was buying, condos and bungalows in Edmonton at the time. Financing was easy. I assumed mortgages. We used all sorts of techniques to buy real estate, acquire real estate, but it was always a buy and hold strategy. Over a period of time, as I got very busy in my businesses, I then my strategy was still kind of in that buy and hold, but we went into did some agreements for sale. We did some rent to owns, but I was primarily the capital partner. Now, as a knowledgeable capital partner, I wasn't I don't know what you're doing. Here's some money, go. I actually was making decisions based on whatever that strategy that somebody was presenting to me. So I was assessing, their competency, their reliability, their ability to pull it off. And then I was investing in real estate in that regard. And so I became more the capital partner than the in the trenches partner. But my experience was in the trenches, it morphed into being the capital partner and being an investor, kind of at a distance, but still very involved.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, especially seeing that you've got your ear to the ground and quite frankly, you got a ton of very, very astute real estate investors that are part of the group. So it just makes sense. Excellent. So, Patrick, let's talk a little bit about your experience within REIN. And I know we've touched on this. I mean, the educational focus of the group is phenomenal. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes you see people making when they first get started in real estate investing?
Oh man, that's a loaded question because there's a lot of things that get in people, where they start. So, primarily what we've come to realize this many years later. So I've been a coach, not just in real estate, but in performance and business and all sorts of things for almost 25 years. And what I realized is I've worked with literally now individuals, probably hundreds, perhaps thousands, but from stage and in a group setting, literally thousands of people. And I've spoke with and had many conversations with real estate investors across the country because it's part of what we do. Common themes that happen, Dave, is people are always looking, give me another strategy. I need more strategies. I need more tactics. I need more strategies. I need more tactics. Tell me how to do. I need a mentor. Like is this repeat of stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a favorite cliche saying that we like to use, which is if more information was the answer, we'd all be billionaires with six packs, right? Mm-hmm. And the reality of it is that it's the very important component of it. But if there was a common theme and mistake, is that people aren't putting themselves in the right environment, surrounding themselves in the right culture and in the right community. You need to be surrounded by like-minded individuals. Now, that is a bit of a sideways plug for REIN because that's what we do for sure. It's not even sideways, it's direct. It's why REIN members, we've transacted over $5 billion worth of real estate. So we have a track record for it. We actually thought it was more about education, more about tactics, more about strategies, because we do all of that. But as we started looking and speaking and having conversations with real estate investors, it really was being plugged into a community, being plugged into a group of people. That might be a mastermind, by the way. It could be anything. So don't try and do it on your own. Get the education, get all of that. But I still would say don't try and do it on your own. Have some experience around you, have some advisors, some guidance, some people who are in it, and then get the hell out of your own way.
Yeah, no, wise words. I agree with that. I mean, obviously, If people are part of REIN, that's great. But even if that's not the case, get plugged into some sort of a real estate investment club in your area, hang around other people that are actively doing it, because you're so right there, Patrick, because, I've seen it over and over again. Somebody gets keen about this, they get some education about it, but then their friends and their family and the cohort that they're with kind of quashes those dreams and those aspirations because it's out of their context, it's out of their wheelhouse, as it were. So yeah, hanging around with other people that are actively doing it makes it much more real for you.
There's the key there, Dave. You said it, is that are doing it. Okay. You know it and I know it in this, we've been in the industry a long time. So over the years, you see all the social media experts that are going on and the Facebook and the YouTubers and there, there's all these places to go to free meetups. The whole free meetup thing is, generally, and I won't use, more than generally, but I'll use a general term. They're individuals that are at the front of the room teaching people how to invest in real estate, but they have a fundamental agenda. They've got real estate to sell you. And so there's no unbiased. They're going to teach you a strategy. And, oh, by the way, I've got the perfect piece of real estate that perfectly fits that strategy. And I'm not making any of that wrong, by the way, like none of it. But because it's an effective way for realtors to generate leads and to sell stuff. So let's not make it wrong, and I'm not. But having said that, if you're that individual who's trying to get the education, know going in that there's an agenda there. That's the one thing about REIN that has always been different, is that we don't sell real estate. I don't make a dime more money if you go out and buy millions of dollars worth of real estate. So I'm pretty unbiased with it. All I want you to do is succeed. So I'm going to give you the best source of education, the best tactics and strategies proven. We've done that for many years. And then support you where you need to be supported.
Very good. So, Patrick, again, you've been doing the real estate game for quite a while. Mm-hmm. You've been surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands, of real estate investors across Canada. It sounds like you got things off on the right foot right from the get-go. But looking back at things, knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would have done differently besides starting earlier?
Well,
besides starting early.
Yeah, something, I've made so many mistakes. I don't even, I do a segment with REIN with one of my partners, JG Francoeur, and we call it Missing Millions. And Missing Millions is all the opportunities you didn't take and or the mistakes you made. So having said
that sounds like a fun thing to rehash, doesn't it?
It makes you realize, just how much opportunity there is. So it's always in hindsight that we're geniuses. Yeah. Did I make a lot of big mistakes? You bet. So if I was to do it again, I would have bought newer. I wouldn't have taken, because my strategies was buy and hold. But if you're doing buy and hold and you buy an older property and you hold it, then you have to then realize that in 5, 7, 10 years, whatever it is, there's going to be a renovation. You're going to have to put costs into it. And those properties just keep getting older. I would have bought newer for sure. Or I would have bought differently, and spent more money up front to bring that property up to current. Like, got it, rebuild it, do those kinds of things. So I think, there's many mistakes, or there's many things I would have done differently, but that's probably a primary one. You
know what? And I think a lot of people have made that mistake. Or inherited those. Or inherited those kind of mistakes, something like that. But yeah, that's something I've heard over and over again, Patrick, is that whole thing. It seems like a good idea. I got a bargain on this property. I got it X amount under market value, supposedly. But yeah, you end up buying a piece of crap that's going to cause you so much headache and expense down the road. Plus, again, if you're buying crappy properties, you tend to be attracting that kind of tenant as well. So yeah, a lot to be said for that.
One of the bigger problems with that is, or that you've got, is that when we're buying older properties, and a lot of times that's because of location. Mm-hmm. Older properties are often in really desirable locations because of the way a city expands. Right. So, I qualify it buying newer properties in great locations, which is always what we're looking for. But if I'm buying older properties in great locations, I would have waited for the right deal in order for me to come in and renovate that property. Bring it up to new.
No, that makes a lot of sense. All right. So, Patrick, we've just got a couple of minutes left. if you could tell our listeners, if they're saying, hey, this sounds kind of interesting, how can they find out more about you? How can they find out more about REIN, maybe dip their toe in the water, that sort of thing?
Well, REINCanada.com, our website, or realestateInvestingInCanada.com is definitely a direction to go. I have an email. I'm still very hands-on, and so CEO at REIN Canada, so CEO at REINCanada.com is a great way to get a hold of me, and I will direct people. Happy to do that always. And that's primarily where you want to go, those to our website.
All right, perfect. That makes sense. Patrick, it's always a lot of fun. I want to thank you very, very much for being on the show with me this episode, for sharing your experience and your learning experiences, that's for sure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. That's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next one. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Well, thanks very much for checking out the Property Profits Podcast. And if you like what we're doing here, please head on over to iTunes, subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. Be very, very much appreciated. And if you're looking to create a regular flow of inbound investor inquiries about your real estate deals, then I invite you to attend one of my upcoming live online demonstrations. And you can check that out at investorattractiondemo.com. Take care.